Meghla, you are on mute.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Aradhana. A very, very warm welcome to Mr. Varun Vaish and Dr. Madhuri Parekh. We are very excited to have both of you on this wonderful webinar topic. That's a very exciting topic, by the way, not just for law educational institutions, the law industry, and of course the students, but also for the parents of the budding law, students who are right now either preparing to get into the industry or they're studying currently right now. So in fact I was personally contacted by a few parents of law students, aspiring law students who are all, in fact right now giving their law exams and entrance examinations, and they said we would also like to join and understand what is the requirement and how should they prepare themselves. So very warm welcome to both of you once again. Truly excited to have both of you with your wonderful legacy, very rich experience and wisdom, which would be a great insight for the students, the faculty, the institutions, and everybody present today. Like I was mentioning, this webinar will be live telecasted on YouTube. So we will have a very wonderful set of attendees. And in case there are any questions, please feel free to either put it in the chat box or on the YouTube channel, and we will surely take it up with both the speakers if time permits. On that note, I will request my colleague Neha Kapoor to start with the webinar. Neha, over to you.
Thank you, Meghla. Very good morning to everyone. GHRDC welcomes you to today's webinar titled The Future of Legal Careers, Trends and Skills That Will Define the Next Generation of Lawyers. Thank you everyone for taking our time and joining in with us today. We are very delighted to have with us experts from industry and academia for the discussion. On behalf of GHRDC team, I welcome our expert panel members. GHRDC, as many of you would be aware, is a 28 years old research firm dedicatedly working in the education sector in the area of ranking, training, mentoring, and research with the sole aim of working on upgrading the quality of education in various sectors and benchmarking the best of the educational institutions in our country. Today's discussion will be one in which we explore how the legal profession is undergoing one of its most transformative phases in the history. From AI driven research to digital codes and globalized practice models, the legal landscape is evolving faster than ever. We will look at the emerging trends and shaping this shift and the essential skills young lawyers need to stay future ready. This discussion is aimed at helping aspiring legal professionals understand how to build adaptable, tech enabled, and impact driven careers in the decade ahead. We will now be inviting our distinguished speakers to talk about this exciting topic. Also, I would request our wonderful attendees to type in any questions you have for your speakers in the chat box given along with the name of the speaker it is addressed to. Now, I would request our Director and Ranking Head, Ms. Aradhana Changakoti, to introduce our eminent speakers for today. Over to you, Aradhana, ma'am.
Thank you, Neha. Good morning to everyone. I'll now read out the profiles of our expert panelists. Dr. Madhuri Parekh, welcome, ma'am. Dr. Madhuri Parekh is a professor of law and currently serving as the director and dean at the Institute of Law, Nirma University. Her areas of specialization include climate change and law, climate justice, public participation in environmental decision-making, forest law, rights of tribals, and research methodology. In a career spanning more than 2 decades, she has meticulously contributed as a researcher, academician, administrator, and environmentalist at national and international levels. Environmental impact assessment and climate justice are 2 major areas of intervention wherein she has richly contributed in public consultation and public hearing processes and rights of communities. Her field research in the area of environmental law showcases deep involvement in knowledge creation, dissemination, and working for the causes of the society. To her credit are a number of research papers at national and international forums in diverse areas of interventions. She has completed several minor and major funded research projects. She has been working as national rapporteur for India on global climate litigation under the Columbia Law School, Columbia Climate School, Sabin Center for Climate Law, New York, and has published a number of papers in reputed journals and is a recipient of several awards for her research and teaching contributions. She is also a member of the International Association of Public Participation. As an institutional builder and educationalist, her credit is acclaimed through years of effective leadership and governance in the Indian legal education arena. Dr. Parekh has a master's degree in English literature and completed her postgraduate studies in law from Gujarat University in 2005. In 2012, she was awarded PhD degree. Dr. Parekh has received an award for her research in environmental law by the CE. She also received a citation at the World Education Congress in 2018 as one of the 50 women in education leaders. Mr. Varun Vaish. Mr. Varun brings over a decade of diverse legal experience with deep expertise in real estate mergers and acquisitions, private equity, and general corporate advisory. As a seasoned transactional lawyer, he has advised leading real estate developers, investors, high net worth individuals, and corporates on a wide range of matters. His practice spans acquisition development, investment structuring, sales, leasing, collaboration, and construction contracts. He has a strong command over property laws and regulatory matters across multiple states in India, with particular focus on ownership, documentation, stamping and registration, land uses, and approval processes. In addition to his real estate focus, Varun has led several high-value mergers and acquisition transactions, guiding both investors and target companies through complex deal structuring and execution in challenging regulatory environments. His ability to provide legal clarity on nuanced aspects of mergers and acquisitions, such as restructuring of ECB loans and the acquisition of assets during ongoing insolvency proceedings, has been invaluable to clients. Varun's strategic insights have helped close large investment rounds while addressing regulatory uncertainties, making him a trusted advisor in both the real estate and corporate legal domains. He has to his credit an award in which he was recognized as one of the top 100 lawyers below 10 years experience in Forbes Legal India Power List 2022. He also has to his credit of conducting a data privacy audit of KPMG, reviewing their data processing and retention policies for compliance with the data protection and privacy laws of India, and issued a comprehensive report on the same. He has advised several leading companies such as Samsung SDI India Private Limited, Chael India Private Limited, Web3 Company, MyLabs Private Limited, IFCO, Loon Land Development Limited, M3M India, European Hydropower Company, Statkraft India Private Limited, Green Infra Renewables Projects Limited, Kotak Alternate Asset Managers Limited, etc. We welcome you to our webinar, sir. And we have Ms. Mekhla Sinha, the Executive Director of GHRDC, who will be acting as a moderator to the discussion today. With this, I would request Mekhla to take over and initiate the panel discussion. Over to you, Mekhla.
Thank you so much, Aradhna, and thank you so much, Neha. Like I said, we are absolutely delighted to have a very distinguished background of two speakers who are like stalwarts in their own areas and have a huge legacy in terms of not just experience, but a lot of other things that I'm really looking forward to hearing from them. So on that note, let me start the discussion. And ma'am, my first question to you will be to you. As you know, the topic that we've chosen for today's webinar discussion is all about the kind of fast-paced changes that are happening in the law, education, and industry. And therefore, it is safe to say that the whole paradigm and the definition of law education is changing very quickly. And it is, of course, now becoming very important for law institutions to remain relevant in this very fast changing, environment, in which of course technology is a very important aspect, but there are other things also, like for example, cross-cultural communication or evolving customer expectation and various other aspects. So ma'am, from that point of view, I would like to ask you, how would you advise law institutions who are watching this today, both government and private institutions, to go about regularizing their systems, their processes, whether it's curriculum or partnerships or anything else, to remain relevant in this changing environment? Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. And good morning to all the participants. And it's a wonderful program organized by GHRDC. And I'm so thankful to you that I would also like to convey my thanks, especially because I'll be able to meet through this platform Mr. Varun Vaish. Based on your query, the question, I would like to respond with a number of, you can say, the points. First is, we can say that if we talk about India, we have two governing bodies. One is UGC and another is Bar Council of India. Now, if we follow in general all the law schools, the Bar Council of India rules 2008 and the curriculum prescribed by it. Over a period of time, Bar Council has also suggested many changes in the curriculum, but some basic courses are mandatory, and that is already that the framework has already been given. So the innovation to make the law school curriculum relevant that any law school can do first is in the part of the pedagogy or the approach of teaching. So that is the first thing that any law school can do within that framework. That is one thing. So how we can do it? So I'll just explain a little bit in detail, and then I'll move on with the second part of the question. So one is within that framework, like suppose if there is a course on constitutional law or there is a course on environmental law, so how we can make it relevant? One is that giving exposure to the students. So the course remains same. The curriculum that is prescribed by Bar Council of India can remain same, but we cannot afford only a classroom teaching, because now the issues are diverse in nature. Applicability of those provisions that are also very relevant. There are two perspectives as far as the teaching of law is concerned. One is a strong theory, the knowledge of the theoretical aspects that goes without say at any point of time, that we cannot deviate. At the same time, inclusion of clinical part has now become very much relevant. For that also there are two reasons, because the span of attention of the students, that is also after COVID we could see a change. And to make the again, it is an era of information. Lot of information is available through different platforms, and we should appreciate it, because now we have to go beyond the information and we should provide something so that the class becomes relevant. Again, within that pedagogical changes that we want to do, we have to also emphasize on a point that merely class confined education will also not be sufficient, because whatever we deliver in class, based on the reading material that any teacher is using, that any student can do. So the change, first of all, the change in pedagogy is required. For that, the change in the entire, you can say, law school's approach is also required. To prepare a teacher for that classroom, we should also equally focus on the training of the teachers. Each and every teacher should have some area of their interest wherein they have the exposure beyond the text, beyond the written material. A first-hand experience, we can say, of the practical things. It sounds very ideological, but it is fact. And those classes become much more relevant as far as the outcome is concerned, or the students' attention or receptivity is concerned. So this is one important aspect. So the faculty should also get the chance of externship or internship like the way in which students are getting. So regular updation is also required on the part of the faculty. That is point number one. And that is what I want to emphasize, that that particular change is required, first of all. Now, linking the course to the practical reality. For that, even the law school and the faculty and the student all have to go beyond the limited, you can say, the concept of classroom teaching. So suppose I can just share my personal example, what I as a teacher have felt, and this is something with my all teachers I can share, that they also do more or less same thing. Suppose in a course when I was teaching the public hearing, I was taking the students to public hearing. The nearby public hearing, the date sheet is generally kept on the Pollution Control Board's website, State Pollution Control Board. So before going there, the analysis of the report of a particular, you can say the project proponent kept on the website. Second day, taking them to the field. They first time observe on field the public hearing process. So that something makes change. And I think this is something relevant nowadays because they have to deal with law is such, now many technical issues are there. When they deal with any kind of case, suppose they deal with the case related to some intervention of AI or cyber security or cyber fraud, they will have to deal with number of technical aspects. In the same way, when they are dealing with the environmental issues, they will have to deal with some science or other related issues. So their first-hand information on field is very much required. So one is the bare minimum knowledge of the core courses of law and the applicability of these laws on field. This is something I think highly required. Within the given time of the semester, it is a challenge for any law school to implement, but a systematic planning always helps. And I think it is possible with the systematic planning to integrate the practical training with the theoretical classroom. Second important thing that I would like to emphasize is that the internationalization that is happening today, that we cannot deny. And we have to accept that fact, and we should give that exposure to the students. So if a faculty is working with some foreign professor, then we should connect that professor to the students so that they can get the first-hand information about the global trends. Third is the integration of, you can say, the AI. Now, it's very difficult. Generally, there is an approach that we should avoid AI. But we should not forget the fact that now, with the help of AI, number of processes we can do in a short span of time. What we need to teach to the students is ethical use of AI, not to avoid it. Now the phase is such where there is no option of avoiding AI. It is how best we can integrate in an ethical manner. So these are the present challenges, and the law school should develop that adaptability and should, within the provided framework, this innovation we have to do without deviating from what Bar Council of India is expecting from us. So this is the area where we have a scope. If I'm not exceeding time, then I can go beyond. Otherwise, you can ask me later also.
No problem, ma'am. As you deem fit. If you would like to explain it
Yes.
further, please go ahead.
Second is mainly if we see the BCI's rules, they have given a bare minimum, you can say the minimum standard that every law school should follow. That is regarding the core courses, elective courses, and the honors courses. But apart from it, now many skills are also required for the students. And nowadays we have seen that many law schools are emphasizing on skill-based learning also. Now, additional those skills like the academic writing skill, the analytical approaches, how to develop it, how to write with an analytical approach, any analysis of law. These are the also essential skills. And I think the courses on the academic writing, moot court, mock trial, they actually help them because they are dealing with a problem. And one problem makes them learn number of laws at a time. And the same thing is going to happen when they go to field. They will not study in isolation the Sale of Goods Act or the Partnership Act. They will have to study, and many times one particular problem may deal with the issue related to constitutional law, maybe with other law. So they will have to develop that kind of a skill. And this is where I think this problem-based learning, though it has been followed, but a complete component that we can keep in a course where it should match with the course. Like for if it is a criminal law, then obviously mock trial will be the best option to engage the students in a practical learning thing. So in this way we can design. And another thing that I could see, and which we have experimented also, what I could see is that we should develop a kind of a relationship with the our field partners, whether we call it a judiciary, advocates, or the law firms, because some of the things, even if the teacher tries level based, that can be you can say we have to take help of this our field partners, because only then the complete understanding of the subject can be developed. So within a given time, how best we can do. And for that, I think the small workshops or the expert sessions on some practical part, that is something very much required. So the best part of the clinical program, generally mediation training we give, or the arbitration training we give. So on these, I think the complete training through the experts from the field is the best thing. We can also discuss with some in the same way with some lawyers, and we can bring some live cases, and we can change the names and everything. And with all ethical approaches, we can provide them, as a engaging small groups on these practical things, and that particular thing is much more relevant nowadays. And one most important thing, generally, it is hardly it is paid attention, though many law schools are doing it. But one is exposure to the field for the students, because most of them, they have an idea that we will go to urban areas, we will settle in cities like metros, and we will work in law firms. But it is not practically possible for all students. Many of them, they will be working in trial courts also. So that societal exposure is very much required, because law operates in society. So generally, they prefer to go to urban areas for internship and all. So the social setups exposure is equally required, because when they are dealing with the issues pertaining to family law, and those issues may be from rural areas, maybe from urban areas, and the problems may be different. So the exposure to rural areas, the community engagement is equally important. And I think this is the area where we can also develop that empathy and sympathy towards the client, which is very much essential nowadays. So these are some of the points from my side. And last point that I would like to add is that the true integration of the legal aid clinics in the teaching learning processes. Because when we make them work under the legal aid clinic, and when we collaborate with the state legal services authority and all, I think we experimented that, and we could get a very good you can say the outcome. So the experts from the judiciary, they are coming, they are conducting some sessions, they deal with some live problems, and the clients are coming. So this is the best exposure we can give to the students. No doubt all these experiments we have to do in a small group. But if we all teachers divide our work and we work on different groups, at least we are able to do it. Thank you so much from my side.
Thank you, ma'am. Very holistic explanation of all the points. In fact, every single point that you mentioned, and especially the fact that there has to be an evolution in terms of from classroom teaching environment to understanding what are the behavioral sciences of students and what kind of changes they've gone through, especially post-COVID, and keeping that in mind and adapting to that. And of course, very important point you said about it, exposing them to international professors, and also making sure that not just the students are being exposed to the society, the industry in various ways, but also the faculty needs to be equally, exposed, because they are the ones who are actually, giving away education and being the most important part of engagement process with the students. Wonderfully explained, ma'am. Thank you. Mr. Vesh, coming back to you, you've had a stellar journey, right? From, your Nalsar days to then coming on to your corporate experience and working and interning at various very high profile companies. I'm sure going through a lot of learnings. But I wanted to take you back to your journey as a young law student and professional, when you just started, what were the challenges that you faced and how did you overcome it? And secondly, what attributes really helped you become the professional you are today?
So thank you, Meghla. Thank you, Aradhana, for that lovely introduction. And it's truly an honor to share this dais with Dr. Parekh. I was listening to your explanation of, how you've shaped your institution and what factors are very important. And it's very good to know that senior academicians like yourselves are paying attention to, uh, you know, the evolution of legal pedagogy, right? There, to my knowledge, there were only a few academicians who sort of really gave a major push towards evolving legal education in this country, Professor Madhav Menon being one of them. And I think an entire generation of lawyers developed because of the changes that were brought about. And I think now your generation, ma'am, is the next sort of wave of academicians who are pushing legal education to the frontier, right? Now, Meghla, to sort of answer your question, once the country sort of liberalized in 92, right, legal education and law as a career option started being viewed very differently. It was in the 70s and the 80s, it was very much seen as a bastion of hierarchy, and it was a hereditary profession. So if your father was a lawyer, you would have to become a lawyer. The proliferation of so many law schools that have come about in the country is because now first generation lawyers or people who have had no connection with the legal profession feel that they can make a career in law, and rightly so. So the first sort of thing that we should all look at is, what is the motivation for students who are coming into law school? Why do they want to study law? For a lot of first generation lawyers, including myself, the motivation was secure employment. And we wanted to be part of a profession. Being part of a profession gives you respect in society. It allows you to contribute meaningfully to society, but it also gave you some sort of guarantee of employment. This aspect should always be remembered by administrators of law school. Everyone should remember that that is the core motivation for a lot of first generation lawyers, who are not looking to take over a practice. So then that brings us to the question that, once you enter an institution looking for employment at the end of it, right? What can the institution do to help you? And what can the student do to help themselves within that? It's fantastic to know that within the confines of the Bar Council of India regulations, law schools such as NIRMA provide you clinical exposure, which will help a student with the second aspect, right? In this second aspect, which is clinical exposure, a lot of law schools are trying a lot of different things, right? But the fact remains the same, that back in 15 years ago also, it was difficult to get a job or get gainful employment. It is difficult today also. That is the same. So a lot of students now say that, sir, in your time, you had lesser law schools, there was lesser competition, so you got jobs at good firms easily. The truth of the matter was that the legal industry has been growing faster than the number of law students that are coming out. And by legal industry, I mean both in terms of practicing advocates in court, as well as law firms, as well as lawyers practicing for corporates. So the core motivation if of a student is that I want to get a job at the end of it, one must be assured that there is a lot of opportunities to be gainfully employed with the skill of having, with having gotten a law degree. That's first. What our law schools gave us was that they templatized a mechanism in which, over a period of 5 years, a smart student who's come through a competitive examination process, a smart student is given an environment wherein he is able to contribute meaningfully to a firm or a chamber practice on day one. So that meant that in 5 years at Nalsar, what they really essentially taught us was every semester you had 5 courses, you had 5 papers that you had to submit, and those 5 papers had to be presented. Then in the middle, students were encouraged to participate in moots, like ma'am very clearly said, moots and research papers. So as a result, what 2 skills we learned at the end of 5 years was research and drafting. And both of them came with an element of stamina to sit for 10 hours, 12 hours and work towards a problem, right? So that is what law school gave us, right? There was obviously healthy competition in the batch, right? We had rankings and everything, but in our time, participating in a moot along with getting a good grade, it signaled to the industry that, okay, this person is a multitasker, and if he has done well in a moot or he has published a research paper, so it at least tells me now that I'm recruiting, okay, this person can put pen to paper, he can communicate effectively, and if he has written a paper or if he has participated in a moot, then he's got the ability to sit for 2-3 hours and work. So sincerity and diligence are being signaled to me. Now this law schools understood, and a lot of emphasis was started being put on moot courts. Inter batch moot courts were being held and law students were sending. Then it sort of we realized that yes, moot courts are important, but what is the essential skill that you're looking for the student to gain? We are looking for him to have sincerity, diligence, drafting and researching. That's what we sort of need. That is what essentially I feel, being part of an institution like NALSA, they emphasized and focused on that. The good thing is that I've had an opportunity to be a part of a few good institutions since then, whether it's a law firm like Amarchand Mangala, which is also an institution, or a university like Oxford, right? What a law school essentially does is not only teach the law, but it is to develop a mindset as to how to approach a legal problem. Okay. So if you're looking at great research and drafting skills, we are also, like ma'am very, very correctly put, we want to give them exposure on the softer sides of what makes a good lawyer. So empathy towards clients, not getting, phased when you are in a courtroom setting, being able to do client consultation in a way that you are able to gain trust. This second aspect, which I would categorize as soft skills, is very important now because the law is in English, it's available on Google, and now with ChatGPT, you can get a succinct answer. So why do we need a lawyer now? These students who are coming in now, they have to understand that they are not going to be competing with other lawyers. They are going to be trying to justify their value to a client or a person who's paying for their services, but who already knows the answer through Google. He already knows the answer. Similar to how when we face some symptoms, medical symptoms, we quickly Google it and we find out, okay, I have this infection. You know it, but you want to hear it from a human. You want your doctor, a doctor with specs and gray hair, to tell you, no, this is what your problem is. You want that human touch. You want that human trust. So that second bucket of soft skills development has to be something that law schools, I think, should focus on day one. Because now when we recruit, we know that this child is smart. Okay, he can draft. Even if he can't draft, he can use tools to make his drafting better. We know that research has become much easier now because there are online tools to do all of this. But what we are looking for from him is sincerity, diligence, and these soft skills that we know that, okay, tomorrow he can be somebody who will gain the trust of a client and take that ownership. That is the essential differentiator, right? Another important point that ma'am spoke about was, international exposure. Yes, we live in a very globalized world. This international exposure or industry exposure ties into a very important point that ma'am spoke about, attention span. When we were in, I don't think this has fundamentally changed, but when we were in law school, when we used to have the GC of a company or a partner of a law firm come speak to us, attendance was high, students were paying attention. Either they thought that, okay, I'll get an internship with this firm, or I will, but the attention was more. We always noticed that, as opposed to a professor who's working probably twice as hard to prepare a lecture and give it, attention is more. That's just the way it is. Students value something which is not available to them on a daily basis. They value somebody from outside coming and telling them the same thing, or peppering it with his real life court experiences. Students love it. They say, oh, I was in front of this judge and I succinctly took his mind to this argument, and then that's how I was able to get relief for my client. They would love that story and retain it. And as we are all fighting for attention. I am fighting for attention for my associates who are Gen Z associates now. I need for them to be interested in working and give me their best. I need to extract the best out of them. Similarly, for academicians that are looking to get that attention so that they're able to imbibe the concept very well. In that, international exposure and exposure to industry, that's where it comes in. How do you get the student to be more interested? And I think students have to have a strong base in theory, of course, yes. But they tend to pay more attention when there is an industry aspect thrown into it. So when ma'am said that systematic planning is very important, I would suggest, and this is something that now law schools have started doing, along with a lesson plan, week-wise lesson plan in a particular semester, you have on a Friday or a Thursday of that lesson plan an industry professional coming in to speak. And the industry wants to. Every partner at a law firm is looking to give back. In fact, now, within our internal evaluations within organizations, an important criteria is what have you done outside of just your cases and handling your matters? How have you engaged with students? What pro bono work have you done? What articles have you published? So the industry is looking for it. I refuse to believe that if you were to email a partner today at a law firm and say, sir, we would like to invite you for this lecture and we would like you to speak on this topic, 80% of the time they would say that, okay, we can make something work. Maybe not immediately, but I will schedule something and come and speak. So that industry interaction is forthcoming and should be incorporated, right? A few law schools do this with a lot of rigor. For example, if I may take the example of Jindal, right? They recently had 13 Supreme Court judges come. It is unheard of up till now, where 13 Supreme Court judges would come to a law school and they would give that sort of exposure. People called it the Kesav Nanda Bharti moot court. That's the exposure. Now students are getting that sort of an exposure. But what does it tell us? I'm not saying call 13 judges or, but what it tells you is that the industry is just as eager to engage with law schools as law schools are to call them. That is an important factor which shouldn't be forgotten. And if efforts are taken in that direction, it will be forthcoming. It is also, this second aspect has seen various manifestations. People are coming up with certification courses. So Luthra did a certification course with NLU Delhi on real estate laws. It was a dual branded, what they call a dual branded certification course. And, various partners of Luthra went, and at the end of it, there was an evaluation and a certificate course was given. Fantastic. There was a fantastic turnout. But what that eventually happened was that partners got to interact with students, and a few students stood out. And a few students were bold enough to say, okay, can I come to your firm? And, they built that network and the relationship. So that's what the law school is trying to do, keep providing opportunities for them to engage. Not everyone will work in a law firm, but to each his own. What has happened is with the Supreme Court judgment saying that students will now have to have 3 years of work experience, and only then can they write the judicial exams. That has led to more people wanting, a job, a traditional job now, so to speak. So law schools are now in this conundrum where, what are we to do? Are we to prepare a good product only? Or are we to create an ecosystem for them where they can at least get some foothold in the industry if you're a first generation lawyer? And what is this child's motivation? This person doesn't want to work in a law firm. He wants to practice. How can I facilitate that? Or this one wants to work in a law firm. How can I facilitate that? That it should start from the first year, right? In either some method of counseling with them, obviously preferences change, But you need to understand that these are first generation lawyers. Some of them are looking for employment. Some of them are looking for employment in their hometown. Some of them are looking for chamber practice. Some of them are looking to write the judiciary. That understanding should be there, and accordingly exposure should be tied in. Trust me, law students will be very thankful for it as well. And that is what I think will differentiate law schools as well. That is in some measure what my law school did as well. And that is what universities like Oxford also do. Understand the students' need and try to facilitate it. That's all you can do as academicians, right? After that, whether they get the job, how well they do in life, that is not guaranteed. Nothing can, but you can at least provide that kind of exposure. So that's my 2 cents on what was provided to me at Nalsar.
Right.
Yeah, before a lot of these sort of, it was a concept that was copied from NLS Bangalore, but we had assistant professors who were practitioners who had come in, and then so we had those professors with practical knowledge come in. So there was a lot of respect for them on campus. They worked very well with senior academicians like Professor Dhanda, Professor Acharyulu, Professor Vivekananda. All of them were career academicians, but they worked well with these assistant profs who came in, who were people who had worked at a law firm for 2-3 years. So it was a good, jugalbandi, if that's the way I can say, and it worked well. Senior academicians drove the theory part very well, taught legal methods very well. The junior professors gave them anecdotes and kept the attention span going. That, I think, worked well. It's very difficult to maintain that balance. But isn't that what law schools are doing now? What is Jindal doing? They say, okay, you have studied at Oxford or at Yale or whatever, come. We will try to organize a decent salary for you so that you can pay off your educational loan, but come. Because many of you are people who have worked with a good lawyer in a good lawyer's chamber or law firm. So you come, and then students will you will grab that attention span of students, right? All of this at the end of 5 years, when a student sits for an interview, it shows that this kid is exposed. He knows what work he wants to do and what in working environment he's going to become a part of. So he's not a babe in the woods. And so this person is something, okay, after 1 more year of training, we will be able to make him really run. That's my 2 cents on what we have learned during this.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. This was very, very comprehensively explained and very wonderfully narrated in terms of how the shift has happened.
Yeah.
From, like you said, it was a very traditional hierarchical structure where if somebody in your family was a lawyer, it had to be that way, but not anymore.
Yeah.
And with that and so many other changes happening, the whole idea of pursuing law education, learning from various experiences has really, really changed. Ma'am, coming back to you and kind of extending the first question that I asked you about the curriculum, going to the second aspect of that question, the same question that we spoke about. We talked about, the aspect of curriculum. You spoke about some collaborations. You also spoke about exposing them to the outside industry and how important it is for law schools to really integrate society, industry exposure, global practices, resources to the current curriculum and process in place. But we are now faced with a very important change, like Varun was also mentioning, which is technology and automation and analytics, and the bigger change, in my view, apart from the technology aspect, is the change in mindset, is the mind shift change, to be able to really accept it and say that, okay, this is where we are and we have to work around this now. So how can you give some tips or advice to law schools to integrate this, to accept this, and to work towards it in a very seamless manner?
First of all, thank you so much, Varunji, because you have covered so many points, and I think these are very vital points. And as you rightly pointed out, now law schools are also coming up with and they are also developing adaptability to this new changes. Some of them, they are slow in process. Some of them, they are already with time. But it takes time within the given structure to accept the new things, as you rightly pointed out. But we cannot deny the fact. So this is also a condition. where law school has to integrate all these new changes into the curriculum. And again, we have to develop that kind of ecosystem within the law school, that these new changes can be positively integrated. I would like to share with the example. Now, we see I already gave that example of use of AI. Now, if you ask any person from a law firm or in any firm, they will find it a very useful tool. It is very high time for us that let us go to the industry, let us understand what is the requirement, not to completely prepare the students for the from the employability aspect, but it is also a fact, and we are also preparing the students for the new changes. So we cannot avoid literally that no, there is no use of this technology or anything. What we have to train them is that the proper use of technology, and that is very difficult. Very difficult in the sense that very thin line. Now, if you ask anything, a person will go to a lot of AI tools and will search within a 5 minutes and will give you the answer. They will do because the technology is available. You cannot deny. So it is your teacher has to change the perspective and has to modify the method where the real engagement can take place. And sometimes you have to see. I can share one example when I was interacting with one lawyer before few weeks. He said that now the clients are coming very well prepared, as this was also pointed out by Varunji. So before the matter was listed in the court, the person came and said to the lawyer that see, our matter is already will be in pipeline, it will be listed, and now these points are there, and on these points this law is applicable. So they also do lot of homework. So, and lot of information available. And I have seen many people who are asking to Copilot, Gemini, and all, and they come with a lot of text that this is something will be there. So, what I mean to say that if you are training them on research tools, and if you don't teach them that these are the research tools which will be really helpful to you in proper research. So ethical use of AI, ethical use of this technology, that is something that should be the focal point rather than completely avoiding it. So the courses on such aspects like AI and law and AI based courses, this also we have to offer in the law school. And even recently, Bar Council of India has also issued a circular where it is said that the new courses of contemporary importance can be added. We can add it in the electives, or we can. This is also another option of providing a certificate courses, small certificate courses to the students, so the experts can come and deliver those sessions, and we can provide that opportunities to the students. So for law school has to think beyond that, as I say, the traditional perspective. And every law school, whether it's a private law school or an NLU, but when they go beyond it and they are with time, I think the students get the maximum benefit. The second point is that we have to also train them for, and for that, I think the internship also proves very helpful. When we have a rigorous structure of internship, regular internship, they get all this exposure. When they work with law firm, they get to know that these are the ways in which law firms expect us to do. So automatically, it will help you in integration of this new technology to your law school. So it is a kind of a no. It is an era where I think we cannot deny how best we can do. That is a challenge. That is a challenge, no doubt. Looking to the present situation, the process is slow, but I think certain. And those who are able to adapt, they can quickly, I think, give the benefit to the students. This is my second important thing is that students generally ask a lot of questions about these processes when we send them for internships. So it is also a good point for law school that they should this now many law schools are already having this program, but if we make it a part from first year to the last year, if this is systematically, if it is integrated as a part of the curriculum, no doubt the BCA also mandates, and many now apart from NLUs also, many law schools are also providing regular internships. So these internships are actually 1 month long internship minimum. That is something I think it provides a good exposure to the students to these new changes which are taking place. So it increases their adaptability also. It also makes law school to adopt. This is also another thing. Because when the students are coming with a request, I think the law school has to do it. So this is something new, a new change which no one can deny. This is my first point, and how quick we are in taking it and integrating it. That is I think in that way we can give the benefit to the students. Students are nowadays very much demanding also, and if they are demanding, we should appreciate them because this is the real taste of our success. Uh, Another challenge also I can say that these are the positive things. The negative thing is also that when they are coming from school and when the program of law school is said that always it is going to be a rigorous program, and discipline is highly required in this program, particularly as far as the work is concerned. So sometimes they want to deviate and they want to adopt some easy methods like using same AI or technology for reducing their work. So it is something I think counseling is the best option. We should not demotivate them, or we should not say that you should not use, but we should give time and convince them that this is how you can do it in a best manner. Don't take help of these resources for this purpose. So in a positive, it takes time, no doubt. But I think in all cases, when we have a discourse with the students, dialogue with the students, only then we have to also understand their point of view. I think this is the time where we have to understand the new challenges and advancement. And again, we have to understand our readiness. Readiness from the point of view of the students, faculties, the organization, and within that system, how best we can do. And fact is fact that we cannot deny now. We have to accept it. I hope I have answered your
Yes,
question.
yes, ma'am,
Thank you so much.
absolutely. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Varun, I have $1 million question. The next question that I have for you. The most sought after question that we are asked in almost every webinar, and this is something that students who are not just studying law right now are looking at to hearing from you, and also people who are in the industry, but also students who are potentially even giving entrance examinations at the moment and just on the verge of getting into a law school are looking at a response on this. So if I had to ask you that, what are the kind of attributes and skills that you're looking at in today's lawyer, what would that be? And especially from the point of view of a student who are preparing to give law entrance examinations or who have just entered the law schools and they're now on their way to finishing their education, or they're on the verge of, finally going into the industry. Irrespective, what does a 2025, 2030 lawyer look like according to you in today's time?
Right. That's a very good question, and it's a question that should be asked repeatedly, every couple of years, because the parameters change. 10 years ago, when a law firm was recruiting, we wanted to see grades, because a good CGPA or a top 10 rank showed a law firm that this person is a consistent hard worker for a long period of time. So for 5 years, if he's maintained his grades, that means he's done something right. That means I'm able to get my two basic attributes, sincerity and diligence. That's essentially what we are looking at any given point of time. Display of sincerity and diligence. Now you can show it to an organization, not just a law firm, but a senior advocate whose chamber you want to join, whether you want to do judicial clerkship, whatever, or if you want to go in-house into a corporate. Every organization is looking from a first-year lawyer evidence of sincerity and diligence. Okay, that has to be proved. So you can prove it in multiple ways. You can prove it by grades and say that, sir, I have been a consistent high performer in my academics for a period of 5 years. It shows me that he's diligent and sincere. Or you can say, sir, my grades were not great, but whenever I was faced with a new legal proposition, I wrote a paper about it and I managed to get it published in a credible publication consistently. Or I worked on this moot. I was a part of a team and I could work well in a collaborative environment in this team. Even if I was not the speaker, I was the researcher, but I did this. Or, sir, I managed to intern in so many organizations and I gained this exposure. Because to get an internship, also, you need sincerity and diligence. You need to email and call and follow up. Any of these four aspects, if someone shines it out, then we get a signal that, okay, this is a person who's a hard worker. Now, you could be a hard worker and show this to me in many different ways, but we are looking for that. So when a student is writing the law exam, if that person understands today that this is very much a vocation, it is like being a plumber or a carpenter. The more you do it, the more better you will become, right? A law school only gives you the admission pass to enter into this profession. It is continuous lifelong learning. And during your law school time also, you cannot be like, I will finish my exams and graduate with a degree and hence I will have the industry waiting to give me a job. No, the person writing the law school, if he has the attitude that, okay, now I've entered into a good institution, this institution and my professors will enable me to excel, but I have to be the one excelling and I need to signal my sincerity and diligence. That is what they should keep in mind when they are writing these exams and getting in. Now, if they enter into a great institution like Nirma, 30% of the battle is won. Because now you are in a safe environment where classes will take place on time, professors will show up, and you will get a good quality legal education. Now is when your hard work begins. When the institution offers you opportunities for mooting, for certificate courses, for internships, for all of these things, you give it your best and work with the institution. Take those 5 years time and try to get whatever exposure the institution gives so that you can signal to the industry your sincerity and diligence. And then, of course, in your 5th year, after 4 years, by the 5th year, the student also has matured emotionally and has some understanding of the profession that they are in. So they are able to navigate it much better than what any institution can provide. They already are talking to their seniors because by that time, their 5th years, 4th years have become 2nd year, 3rd year associates. They've gotten some place. So they're able to network. They're able to create opportunities for themselves, right? That in the 4th and 5th year should be instilled in the student that now is your time to leverage the opportunities that the alumni network of this institution has given you. And, if the institution is giving you 2 months break, so use that time to sort of go, out into the industry, build your networks and convert that into an employment opportunity. So that attitude mindset has to be disclosed to the student that that's actually the only way to do it. Right. And in no industry, it's not only in law, but in engineering or in any other profession, your institution can only provide you a platform and a safe environment for you to really then put in the effort to go out and get what best you can get. And that being the case, there is always space for good students and candidates. Always. No, I refuse to believe if someone says that now there are no jobs. No, there is somebody who's getting a job at Amarchand, right? And it is not always somebody from National Law School, Bangalore or Nalsar. I don't think Luthra has recruited someone from a National Law School in a long time. We are recruiting students from Amity. We are recruiting students from Indraprasth, from, Symbiosis, Christ, all of these. These are not national law schools or government institutions. These are institutions that have provided their children the opportunity to sort of really go out there and, do what is required to build the relationship in the industry. So the attributes are the same. They have never changed. Sincerity and diligence. How you're showing that has changed. Earlier, it used to be good marks. Then it became mooting. Then it became mooting in research papers. Then it became how good I am at using online tools like LexisNexis, SCC Online, ChatGPT, whatever. These signaling mechanisms have changed. But sincerity and diligence has to be shown. Right? And in this regard, just as an aside, there was a very good exercise that our legal methods professor back in 2008 had made us do. In 2008, a new tool had come into the market called Manupatra. It was the first time you could go to an online portal and do a keyword search to bring out case law. Right? It was scaring academicians. That हमारे बच्चे किताब खोलना भूल जाएंगे, अब तो ये Manupatra tool है, they will do it. Right? Manupatra came, it changed the way legal research is done, but essentially what a lawyer needed to do didn't change. Okay. So what our legal methods professor made us do was that he said, now today's class, you will just need to find out precedents or case laws on this particular section of law and go to the library, go do whatever. You have 1 hour. Okay. And that time, of course, there were no smartphones and all. So now, of course, you can do the same exercise by saying, keep your smartphones aside or leave it here on the table, whatever, and say, now you have 1 hour. Go find out the case law pertaining to this section using no technology. So go find a commentary, go to the AIR manual, find a case law, and quick, just one paragraph you write about what you think this section says with case law and how the courts have interpreted. He did that for about 30 minutes. Then he said, next 30 minutes, now use Manupatra and try to get me the answer, right? And he asked the students very honestly, tell me, where did you feel that you actually learned what this section told you? And the students themselves said कि सर जब हमने ना कमेंट्री खोली ना, उसका पीछे वाला भी पेज पढ़ लिया थोड़ा सा, आगे वाला भी पेज पढ़ लिया थोड़ा सा, होलिस्टिक अंडरस्टैंडिंग हमें थोड़ा इससे आई. Manupatra gave us the answer directly. Time बच गया उससे. I was able to do it in lesser time, but I really got the holistic. And the professor asked us that you tell me, मजा किसमें आया तुम्हें ज्यादा? इसमें आया ना कि जिसमें you really got to the depth of it. So all of these tools will always be there for you. You choose where you are having more fun. And a lot of students used to tell us then afterwards, like, no, I love researching the old school way. And that became you can't stop. You can't tell somebody with gun to your head now, don't only open a book and don't Google and whatever. Make them experience both ways and ask them, hand on your heart, which one did you prefer? They will always say that when I read this commentary or I read this book, I think I got a better understanding of it and I was able to answer the question more confidently because मुझे आगे पीछे का थोड़ा पता चला. That is the reality of it. You can't stop children from using technology. You have to make them experience both and let them make the choice. Now, there might be some kids who are saying that, oh no, I am great with technology. Good on you. If you can become a better lawyer using the technology, good on you. But you should know the old school way, knowing how to source primary sources of research, secondary sources, and then coming up with your answer. Right? That is all we can do. As a senior in the profession, I can only teach my juniors this. And as academicians, ma'am, I think you can only give the exposure कि दोनों रास्ते हैं. You choose, but become an effective lawyer in both ways. Yes, but if the client asks you contextually, आगे पीछे का कुछ, तो फिर then you should be. You cannot then say कि अब मैं अभी 2 मिनट और दो मैं करता हूँ ना. पता फिर सब कुछ होना चाहिए. So that is what exposure I think is important. Just as an aside, I wanted to give this anecdote, which I think has had a very deep and meaningful impact in my life. And the professor in question was Professor Acharyulu, who went on to become Chief Information Commissioner as well. And he writes, so that is some learning. That time also technology was coming in. Blackberries had come in, smartphones had come in. So technology will keep coming in. But the core tenets of our profession have never changed. Like it's never changed for the medical profession as well. These core tenets, ours is the second oldest profession in the world. Law is the second oldest profession in the world. So it's not died. It has only evolved and changed. You need to give everyone, my juniors, like I give them a flavor of the traditional method as well as the new method and let them decide. So that maybe adds, ma'am, to the point of your ethical use of AI. I think that exposure will sort of really tell them about the ethical use of technology.
I think you've laid a very clear path in front of students in a very, very, very clear way to understand that this is what they need to focus on. And whether it's the aspiring students who are giving entrances or whether it's students who are currently studying or whether they're out in the industry, you said that sincerity, and diligence stand out, whether it is the era of information technology or it's the old way school of doing things, irrespective, the old foundation will always stay. And they need to understand and get exposed to all methods and then pave out their own way and make sure that they have answers, because they can't, like you said, they can't be saying that, okay, 2 minutes, I need to check.
Now
And I think one very important point, Varun, that you talked about in your earlier point, which I wanted to point out in today's discussion for all our viewers who are watching this, is you spoke about this one line where you said they have to develop the stamina to sit and do extensive researches or analytical work, or do that sort of stuff. That is a very key point. Ma'am was talking about short span of attention. And of course, we are talking about something like this, which sounds, opposite of each other. But I think, like ma'am was saying, if things are done in a very systematic, process-oriented way, both can be accomplished. But I think this is a very important point that as law students, this is something that they need to definitely work on. Yeah. Ma'am, I'll ask, today we are almost on the verge of now, finishing the webinar, and we are there, but I'll take up this last question and then wrap up with you. The same question that I asked Varun today, I would like to throw it open to you, because this is, as I said, it's a question which comes all the time to us. And it's something that students, the institutions, the industry, the parents who are, of those students are really looking forward to understand. What, according to you, are the non-negotiable skills, knowledge, attributes that you feel students must imbibe, especially if they are wanting to pursue law education?
I will quickly answer this question, because main important points have already been covered by Varunji. First and foremost is sincerity. That is highly required. Second is readiness to do hard work, because this is the profession where you will have to put your all efforts. And third important thing is the discipline, self-discipline. It is very much important. If you're not disciplined, if you have a very good skill, analytical skill, understanding, application, everything, but if you're not disciplined, I think you will not be able to do justice with your work and to your clients or to any work that is assigned to you. This particular profession requires a lot of readings, systematic planning of your schedule, and most important thing, as I said, is the sincerity. That if these three things are not there, I think very difficult to survive in this profession. Whether you are working in the judiciary, whether you are working as an advocate in a court, whether you are working with a law firm, or in any area related to law. But these are the things which are very much required. And next essential skill that is required for everyone is that soft skills, as we discussed initially. Even I also discussed, and Varunji also discussed. These are the things. Commitment to a work, that is something most important. And that's why when we make the students, generally it happens with Nirma, so I'm very frank on this point, that we make students do lot of work, and they will have to sit for a lot of hours for classroom work, then the project work and all. And initially they feel like we are like in a school. But when they after their graduation, when they come back, the first thing they said that we are very much blessed, because we know how to wait in a court for our turn, or we know how to work in office and spend so much time for our profession, because that has been taught to us in our law school. So this is something, this kind of sincerity, hard work, and dedication is required, and these are non-negotiable skills. We have to be honest with our work. That is an important thing, and self-discipline, because many things will come as Robert Frost poem. But I think the woods will be dark, lovely, everything. But we have to focus on our goal, and we have to plan it systematically. It is not denial. There is no denial that we should leave the worldly pleasures and all. But it is something. The first priority we have to always give to the work, planning all other things in a manner that we can balance it. It is we who have to train ourselves. But these are the non-negotiable things from my point of view. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Varun, any parting remarks before we end? And we just had a bout of CLAT exams getting over just last week, I think, and a lot of students who are now getting ready to join the law, education sector and the industry. So, any parting remarks from you for them? You're on mute.
Sorry. My parting remarks are that this is the best time in the history of this country to study law. Legal education has grown leaps and bounds due to the hard work of people like academicians like Dr. Parekh, because so much of thought and hard work has gone into building institutions which can give you so much of exposure. This was not always the case. In a 3-year LLB program in traditional central universities, whether it was Delhi University, Aligarh Muslim University, you had some good professors, but you never had the kind of ecosystem you have today. So cherish it. It is the best time to study the law. There is everything that you would want attached to this at the end of your training period or your learning period. If it is a job you seek, it is available. If it is respect in society, you are a part of a very dignified profession, it is also there. Everything that you would want to be a productive member of society, all the tools that you would need, this profession gives you. So approach it with that respect and really make use of the opportunities that your law school is now providing you. You can hear it from somebody who has been around for a while. It was not always the case. So, academicians taking out time from their busy schedule to have a discussion on this, to keep learning, to keep changing, it is a lot of hard work behind their other commitments of teaching and, accreditations and all of those research publications, all of that. Apart from that, to constantly learn and update, students must always value the hard work an institution is already putting in the background to make sure, why are they doing it? They're doing it only so that you get the best. So that mindset they should not ever forget or take it for granted. It is not always like this in this country, and so it's something that is something to be cherished. Yeah.
Right, well, absolutely. And like both of you mentioned, this is the era of information, in fact, over information. Like both of you were saying that, you have clients and professors all the time sharing that they already have the answers, but they're also looking for a very trusted source of opinion, kind of verifying it with someone they can trust and who is experienced and knowledgeable. And like ma'am was mentioning, empathy and sympathy is a very important aspect, which only a personalized interaction can give these students. And that is the human touch that is of great value and importance. So apart from all the credentials that students need to work on, they also need to continue to work on some of these humanistic values. I can't thank both of you enough. You have been such wonderful speakers, and we had a lineup of questions, in fact, for both of you to continue speaking, but due to paucity of time, we are ending the webinar here. But I would love to continue this conversation with both of you again, maybe in a part 2 series. And this would really benefit, like I said, student community, faculty, institutions, even parents and industry. So we will reach out to you on that very soon. And once again, many, many, many thanks to both of you for sharing your insights, your journey, your words of wisdom. And I'm sure that everybody who watched this gained a huge amount of learning from it. Neha, over to you for a vote of thanks.
This was a very fruitful and enriching discussion. And on behalf of the whole GHRDC team, I would like to express my appreciation and gratitude to all the participants for taking out time to attend the webinar. And our very sincere thanks to our panel of experts. Your presence has been invaluable and has undoubtedly made this webinar a great success. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you, Dr. Parekh. Thank you, Varun. And
thank you so much.
I'll also connect the two of you separately, and we will send you the recording as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you
so much, Dr. Parekh. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.